Hey guys, my midday video. I haven't had one for a few days. I'm working the rest of the week. Markets are really rocking here. All this stimulus just continues to QE4, which they don't call it that, but we had another $50 billion injected today, and it doesn't look like the Fed's going to stop anytime soon. So as long as this money just keeps getting injected, the market's going to continue to go higher. So it's going to be hard to, even whenever you run into resistance, like we are into resistance in the S&Ps right here, right now. You know, seeing all this quantitative easing, and it sounds like China's about to have a big stimulus for their airline industry in the overnight news. So it sounds like that we are going to get stimulus out of China next. And so we got the Federal Reserve stimulating the economy, and then we have that. And you know what? The whole China virus thing, that's actually a stimulus for U.S. equities or U.S. exports. Because keep in mind, China is our biggest competitor, and with them um, failing or having troubles over there to with all their issues and everything, it's actually opening up opportunities for American business, which ordinarily would not be available. So um, China's facing some major headwinds going forward here, in my opinion. We already had a lot of suppliers looking for other alternative routes to produce things to avoid the tariffs, U.S. tariffs against the goods in China, moving stuff to India and Vietnam, and just trying to avoid those tariff situations. Well, this whole now with the potential supply issues with from the coronavirus thing, um, that's just going to hasten the relocation of these supply chains out of the Chinese economy. So, uh, yeah, you think that that all those jobs might get back to the U.S. because of the tariffs, but actually, supply or companies are looking for other countries that haven't been hit by the tariffs to move their operations instead of necessarily bringing them back to the U.S. So just some things, the food to thought. But man, you can tell it's the FOMO trade going on right now. Fear of missing out. They are just really rocking some of these stocks, to atmospheric levels. But we are into resistance here. That could cap us out for the rest of the week on that. And what's really driving the markets today? Tech. Without a doubt, tech is doing it. We came right up into my resistance around 10:45 today, and we crossed over my resistance area, and we're kind of just chopping out sideways here, trying to decide if we want to break out higher or come back in underneath that resistance area. But as of right here, right now, they are trying to push it to even higher levels. Uh, but that was very significant resistance that we are crossed out at 10:45 today. So just keep that in mind. That could act as a magnet for the rest of the week going forward here. And the thing that's really going to drive us for the rest of the week, in my opinion, that's the Russell. And basically, we're seeing a short squeeze in oil taking effect here. And so we do have one untested weekly or monthly, yeah, weekly VPOC up here, and I'm thinking that's where price is trying to migrate for the end of the week. This is OPEX week Friday, and I'm thinking that's what they're trying to do here is migrate price back up to into OPEX. So keep that in mind. Kind of looking for another nice pop in crude oil or in energy stocks tomorrow. Okay. Okay. Let's see here on my sector ETFs. The one of the ones that is really moving here. That's your XLE, marking new highs as I speak. We do have an untested weekly or daily VPOC up here at the 5505 for the XLE. I'm pretty sure that's exactly where we are going to fill that to either today or tomorrow. That we are going to get higher highs on our energy sector. Very strong. Yeah, that's a very nice responsive move in the energy short, basically a short squeeze. Some of the money is rolling out of defensive areas. Another one, XLU has holding out like a champ, but we're going to sell on XLU today. The reports are out because of the mild winter conditions that they've got surpluses in the energy sector, and that news came out this morning, and it's been bleeding off today. Keep in mind, This has been all a defensive move on because of the coronavirus. They've been parking their money into the energy. So this has been one heck of a defensive move, and we are actually finally starting to see the first signs of a rotation back out of energy starting today. It's fundamentally flawed to be long in the energy at these levels. This is a defensive trade that has been going on, and it looks like this is going to uh, this really looks like it's starting to unwind in a relatively fast order here. So keep that in mind. You really don't want to be long energy going forward here. See here, XLP. Where's XLP? XLP. There it is. XLP, your consumer discretionary. Uh, this is the area you park your money for dividend yield and stuff. We are getting it's a little bit red for the day. It's not a big warning sign yet, but this is one of the other areas they've been in a defensive mode, trying to park their cash. Very easily can come back down to last week's uh, VPOC if we get continued buying pressure tomorrow. And basically, it's all about the semiconductors today. Semis are on fire. We had a bunch of downgrades in the Asian semis yesterday, and we found a really sharp response to sell off earlier this week in the semiconductor space, and we are just getting one rocket move, getting it all back in one day. So U.S. semis are kind of benefiting because of all the issues in the China sector. So they are keeping a solid bid under U.S. semiconductors in today's session, with NVIDIA leading the charge. Okay. What else are we doing here? So basically, those are the ones that are really standing out, happening today. You do have TLT still holding up. It's basically flat. We're not really giving anything back on our bonds yet. Really, if the fears of the whole coronavirus thing have not dissipated, and they just not ready to let monies rotate out of our bond area. So keep that in mind going forward here. Still keeping a sustained bid in the bond sector. Okay, some of the areas, my scans. My top scans for today, NVIDIA, of course. Some of the 310 calls really rocking here, 653% gains. Really called out early in the room as the top trader for today. People are making a lot of five-digit players in the room today, knocking it out of the park. I did have an order in. It blew right past my order. I had it set pre-market. I never did get filled, so what can you do? The next Tesla was up huge in the early morning session. It's not really doing much right now, but so that was another one that did really good overnight on NVIDIA. SpaceX, you could have made some pretty decent money intraday on SpaceX if you did manage to catch it right. It continues to completely defy gravity, going into some news that it's about to start private flights into orbit here really soon. So keep that in mind. But those are the main players today. We just pretty much have our NVIDIA and our Tesla that are just really are the ones that are really outperforming here in the markets, and that's really holding a lot of the market up right there. Now, if I go, that's the ones with volume above average volume. If I were to take the above average volume, I mean, of course, my results change, and I do that scan, and basically, and percent change. Then, if you just get, then you get your outliers. I mean, the ones that would typically have lower volume but really high percent gains, and so these are companies which I've never really played much with them before, but it gives you some idea. But looky here, Disney is one of the 200% gain on Disney, lower volumes today, so that's catching a responsive short squeeze in Disney today. It looks like JP Morgan. Really nice to see JP Morgan as a leader, and Goldman Sachs. Both of them having nice little bids today, on a little bit lighter volume than typical. So we're getting some short squeezes in the financials. So that's always a very good thing here, and it looks like the financials are trying to break out finally. So keep that in mind going forward here. They're still lagging a little bit, and then AMD is going with Nvidia, getting some nice percentage gains in AMD today. I did try AMD earlier today, made a little profit on that. My main one today for me, and I closed up shop early. Uh, I listened to and delved down into the Analog Devices earnings call this morning. It broke late in the morning session, and caught a immediate responsive bid way up here above my significant resistance area. And so up here, I thought the results weren't that great myself, and I did not like how they were reporting it and stuff. So I initiated some puts. I bought some puts right there at the open. I did manage to fill on those, and so I managed in just a matter of a few minutes, like 10 minutes time, lock in $1,200 on a responsive short trade in Analog Devices this morning, and that was pretty much one of my that made my day. So I just kept it. I pretty much closed up shop around 10, a little after quarter after 10, and called that a day. Good enough for the day, and but yeah, some really good movers today. We have some all-time new high breakouts in Netflix, uh, Google. It looks like they're coming back in. Netflix all-time new highs marking. Uh, it's right above some significant resistance areas, so this could be a continuation pattern. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it has been basing for a multi-year base on Netflix. So this thing could have some legs going forward here. So keep that in mind on Netflix. And then Google, see, that's a different situation for Google. We were putting a new high in with Google, but it doesn't have the similar type of pattern. So, but Netflix does look like it has potential legs going forward here. And then Facebook was lagging this morning, continuing to lag, it seems like, right here. So that's another one going forward here. It's into a week daily VPOC today, and it's just kind of just stalling out right here. It looks like on Facebook going forward. Basically going forward here, I think what we're going to see is squeeze higher as traders start taking positions off for the coronavirus protection, and with the energy sector leading the way to the downside going into the rest of this week. I think you're going to start seeing a lot of profit taking in the XLU for the rest of the week. So keep that in mind. That's my favorite trade going forward. If you were going to buy into like next week's XLU puts, that does make a lot of sense to me, and possibly energy XLE to the long side going forward here. And gold actually had a nice little bid this morning. I haven't actually looked at it here lately. And that was another one I was looking for the puts right out of the gate this morning. It's still holding that bid pretty good here, so that's another one. I don't really want to take that at this point. So just keep that in mind. GDX, gold miners, yeah, they do seem like they trying to keep a nice little bid here. Yeah, I'm just not a big believer in the gold long, in my opinion. So, but we do have our Venom lines are stretching out on our monthly or on our weekly here. So keep that in mind. I mean, this can really catch some legs if the market decides they want to invest in gold here. So that's one I'm just not going to even think about taking to the short side. But at any rate, I'm just pretty much all cash, and I'm going to just reload tomorrow, just like I always do. And like the video if you like it, and leave comments below, and some ideas you think about going forward and stuff here. But I'm kind of thinking we're in a resistance zone on our markets. And if the markets do continue to go up, I think we're going to see it on the Russell side going forward, and not as much so on the uh, tech side. But I could be wrong. This squeeze does seem to be happening for because related to the coronavirus today. So that's what's really driving, in my opinion, the collapse in the XLU, and good news or less bad news about the virus, and it's given more support to the tech sector. So keep that in mind going forward. Thanks a lot. Talk to you guys next week, probably.